That's just not the standard fare, and I don't like sticking to a format. I feel like we struggle the most when it's like it was when we were doing those lists. I think Brant, this was before your day, but we did lists like top 5 recommended PS1 games, and it was each one of us like with our recommended. That could have changed from day to day or week to week, but
yeah,
it's something we wanted to do, like a list thing and have it out there, but I don't know. I feel like if it's a forced, like I'm okay with deciding, let's bust through the news and then go from there. But if it's like a stuck force thing, then it just doesn't have the right natural flow to it, in my opinion. We always wing it anyways. Yeah. What do y'all think about meeting with these people about monetization?
I don't care. That's cool.
I think from my understanding is it'll just inject ads, like maybe some we can record, or it'll put ads in the RSS feed when we put it up.
Okay.
But they also pay for the hosting, so that would be their.
That's cool.
Their free tier has no hosting fees, and we would just slot the current stuff over. We wouldn't lose access to that content, or we just all like hurriedly download 75 episodes locally. I'm serious. It may come to that. I don't think it should, but because we've all got all that stuff's out there anyways. Renee's here. He said he was watching some Russian VTubers. Should have got some guest lists too. We'll do this better next year. We've been saying that for 6 years. We'll do this better next year. Renee would have sent us a guest list. Renee, send us your 5 games of the year in the chat. We'll read them. We'll read them out. Did he play a lot of Octopath Traveler this year? Or was that last year? I would see him on it every time I fired up my Xbox. Cesar, do you remember the year of the Octopath for Renee?
I don't know. He's here. We can ask him that. Don't know off the top of my head.
He's live in the flesh. Oh, we're still up there. Saturday Night Warzone. It's definitely not Saturday Night Warzone. Who's a turkey?
You're a drive turkey.
That seems like it sometimes. I don't know what else it could be. Top 5 games, not gains, this year. Could have got one from Jeremy, I'm pretty sure. Could have got one from Mermy, most likely. I think we'll have enough content.
Oh, yeah.
Make that a thing after we're monetized. Gains of the year. No. Buish, it was Ganes. Gains. Not like the detergent or bro at the gym. Like games, but with an N. Buish, you have a top 5 games of the year list? You want to throw that in the chat? All right, Renee's going to do it. We'll see if Buish is down. So that's our stressing over there.
I got Heart stuck in my head.
The song?
Tonight.
Or the band?
Yep.
He was singing Crazy on You last night.
On Warzone? Yeah. Did y'all get in some Warzone yesterday?
Yeah, we did. And
Dubs?
then we were literally we got close a couple times, but like we did 3 or 4 games, and then we're literally talking about, all right, well, let's call it a night. And then literally the last match we're doing, Renee jumps in. We're like, oh shit, well, Renee's here. Let's play another one.
Cue it up. Buish says, possibly, can I split the Warzone seasons into 5? Which one was your favorite?
Option.
Hey, those are 5 different games. He's right. It gets to that point. Which build of Warzone made your top 5? Was it all 5? Did you like Halo Infinite before Season 6? Shit's valid. I heard Gersman bitching about that the other day. Like, what even is that anymore? When that season shows up, what even is that? All right, so we're probably
Got my Halo Infinite all the way updated.
It was good. Did you play any yet?
No,
It's
not
not
yet.
bad.
But literally, it had like 30 something gigs. And then I went to start it up, and it's like, wait, no, Halo Infinite has an update. I'm like, what the fuck? I just downloaded
What do you
an
need
update
from me?
And then it had like 3 more gigs. I was like, okay, this is nothing.
That's manageable. Yeah, Russell and I played like 2 rounds, and I was like, okay. I didn't ever have any of the weird latency bullshit netcode stuff that we always feel. So we'll see. All right, we got Insomniac hacked. Bobby Kotick, your number's up, which that date has passed if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah, Flash Cart for Nintendo Switch. That might be our only discussion, but we can keep that briefish because it's not like super extensive. And then January PlayStation Essential Games. That's only 3 games that we can discuss.
Yeah.
And then we won't have to worry about...
It'll be brief.
Yeah, we won't have to worry about episode title. We always call this one Games of the Year, whatever it is. Just punch that in. 2023 is already over. That's crazy. Brant, thank you for fixing the year at the top. That would have thrown me. Oh, Thinking Inside the Box is here. Thinking, can you give us... Thanks for joining us, always. Can you give us your top 5 games this year? They don't have to be like I'm going to have 2 old games on my list. Can you give us your top 5 games / experiences this year? Even if it was an old crappy Xbox game you played for the show, like Scooby-Doo, I couldn't finish watching that stream. It was horrible. Oh, not because of your content, but because of the nature of the content that you had to present for science's sake. The show was rough, man. You ever seen that Scooby-Doo for Xbox? It's like Night of 1,000 Frights or something.
Can't say I have. It's that bad. PlayStation has games? Yes, PlayStation will be fine. No, I see what you're getting at. Yes, PlayStation Essential has games. 3 games, essentially, for PlayStation. How many of my games of the year are playable on... 1, 2, 3, 4 are playable on PlayStation. The overall games of the year. Gents, you ready? Cesar, ready? Ready position for gaming of the year? World premieres.
World premiere.
World premiere.
Console exclusive. Lost the lead.
Did we get Kojima? Did we nail down Kojima? Is he going to appear?
We nailed Kojima. Not down. He's going to be here. Him and Keeley.
Jordan Peele going to show up?
Oh, that's the Keeleys.
Stand awkwardly next to each other.
That's not... Why'd you guys request your seats to be so close? I don't get it. I don't know why you needed this. Oh, that's not looking good. All right, y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Top 5. Got you. Thank you. Thank you, thinking inside the box. All right, let's roll. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 286 of the NOFODcast. We are No Outside Food or Drink, the Southeast premier video game and 2023 appreciation podcast, as my cat screams in the background. Hush, Gaming Kitty, you had your show a couple weeks ago. Tonight, we're going to be brief in news. I'm not going to lie. We're going to be brief in news because we are going to go into some Game of the Year celebrations. So if you are with us in the chat, I see Buish has already shared his list. He says in no particular order. That's also what we would suggest because I think that's how we present ours. We don't really do like a number 5 in which Brant would pick Pokemon Snap, the new one. And that's also his number 4, spoilers. So just... put your 5 out there. We would love to read them and see what you guys enjoyed this year. It doesn't have to have come out from this year. 2 of mine are going to be old ones. So if you would like to contribute to that, we have more of an audience than we've had in previous Game of the Year proceedings past. So that would be fun to read your list and kind of kick it around and see if we've enjoyed any of those alongside you potentially. Probably if you're in our audience, most likely. But the news this week: Insomniac hacked. Bobby Kotick, your number is up. Flash cart for Nintendo Switch? ? In which I reflect on the fact that not for the Nintendo Switch, but I probably need a Nintendo flash cart at this point. And your January PlayStation Essential Games have been announced, having survived the year 2023 of our Lord. I'm one of your hosts, Richard Bergman, joined tonight by fellow 2023 survivor and newsmaster Brant McKee. Brant, welcome.
We made it.
We did. More bullshit. More bullshit ahead.
Look at us.
And who would
have thought?
Look at us now. I'm going to steal one of Cesar's favorite bits of all time. Cesar, welcome to 2020 Season 4. We're welcome that you're here and you were around for the conclusion of Season 3 of 2020.
2020 never ends. Let's
1,
go.
2, 3. That was the conclusion of Season 4. This is Season 5 of 2020 that we're headed into. Oh, you have to count the 2020. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 1. We made it. We're here. We're reflecting on... I've seen so much more of it over this past like New Year's break than I ever really felt like before. Maybe just because I'm getting older or something, but they're like, it's just an arbitrary passage of time. We decided that this would be the turnover of, like, it's not a thing. There were all these people in Times Square jumping up and down and watching the ball drop, and we used to have a peach drop in Atlanta before they got rid of it. I believe friend of the show, Russell, knows where those funds were allocated. That was not the peach drop, but it's just a date, right? It's not really, but it turns into this big thing. Now we have to decide what games we enjoyed over the past 12 months and what we look forward to over this next little arbitrary 12-month period, right? That's just, I guess, what we divided into these categories based off this. The Game of the Year stuff's going to be fun. We always have a good time with it. It's a varying mix of new games that came out and old games that we've rediscovered, or what I have written down is some favorite experiences from this past year and some things I'm looking forward to, and I think we'll all go over that. If you guys are down for this, strap in. Brent scratches his head confusedly. Renee says, shared your Xbox. What did you share? What Xbox did you share, Renee? Let's go into news first. Insomniac hacked. This was not good. Did y'all also see that hack is like one of the words that was voted on that you should drop from your vocabulary in 2024? What? Yeah, it said it's being overused, even outside of just tech terms like DIY hack, life hack, mom hack. Like there's just too much, as Brant hacks live on air. There's too much hacking going on. They want you to step back on your hacking. Thinking Inside the Box says they've fallen off tradition and don't follow trends. Awesome. You're in the right place. That's us.
Yeah.
We chart our own paths. This comes from Chris Scullion at VideoGamesChronicle.com. Insomniac breaks silence on extremely distressing data breach. First, a Sam's Club ad. This story brought to you by Sam's Club at VGC.com. The studio says it's still working to figure out what data was affected. Insomniac Games has released a statement on its recent cyber attack. On Tuesday, a ransomware group released more than 1.3 million stolen files, totaling 1.67 terabytes, containing information on Insomniac's future titles and confidential staff information. This was, of course, from Tuesday last. So, actually, it's 2 weeks ago. But we're still catching up. This dominated all of the news over the past, I guess, week and a half. Because so much of it was just confidential information. I don't feel like there was many bombshells outside of that. Did y'all see anything that just like shook you?
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, I chose the article that's basically just Insomniac's response to being hacked.
Because the data mining, mining was, there was employee information stolen and shared, so that's the horrible part. All of it's horrible. That is the extra invasive,
super not cool
garbage part that has nothing to do with video games. That's just people being monsters. The video game part of it is like some sales figures and news that the most recent Ratchet and Clank game did not do as well as maybe had thought. And despite that game being amazing, I'm sure the PC port helped out with that sales wise, and not Infiltration.
Which, I mean, hell, that was a great game.
Fantastic.
It was a great game.
Friend of the show, Brian, got a PS5 for Christmas and was loaned a copy of Ratchet and Clank, a Rift Apart, because that's still in my top 5 must-have PS5 titles, I would say. Probably top 3. Top 2 now? Probably top 2.
Yeah. But yeah, not to get too far into it, but surprise, surprise, they're planning more Marvel tie-in games. Marvel games that are in the same universe as what they're already doing, and then they are eventually going to go back to Ratchet and Clank, and then some new IP that has yet to be determined. So
honestly, the most shocking thing to me was how far out some of these Insomniac titles are. We're used to them being so prolific on their PS5 output. Like, man, we're expecting all these.
Well, I was about to say, what was the last one was like dated for like 2032?
I remember seeing 2029, but
like
2032 is like, damn.
It was, yeah. I know there was one that was 2029, but I want to say that there was one like dated for 2030s.
Golly.
I'm like, God,
What?
we still gonna be in the PS5 by that
Somebody
point?
will be. I mean, we might have one hooked up.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have like be like the 2 million that we're still using PS3s.
That should have been in
was something
news.
cool.
Brant, go ahead and share that bit. Was that out of the same data mining?
That was out of the leak. Yeah. There was this graph showing all the PlayStation users, and of course it didn't have any of the handhelds or anything, but yeah, down at the bottom there were still going into 2023. There were some 2 million users still on,
and that
PS3s.
had dropped significantly. Like when it this past June, it was like 3.4 million or something. Like it just got cut in half. But people are still playing PS3s, man. Mine's hooked up right now.
I'm playing a PS3 game right now. I started one this past weekend.
Brant, this is your first experience with that, isn't it?
Damn.
Oh, what do you think? Or you got to talk about it?
It's so far. So far, so
did it live up to the hype? The intense billing that Cesar and I might have built up. Sorry, the Gaming Kitty sat on my cord here. Damn it, Gaming Kitty. Is that all we want to touch on with that Insomniac leak?
Yeah, they talked about, their
because there's like playable builds of Wolverine and stuff out there, and Schmucks Online showing you where to go to download. Yeah,
they're thanking people for the outpouring of support. They're talking about how they're gonna share stuff from Wolverine when it's time, but obviously what's out there is a very, very early build that was only playable on PS5 dev kits for about a day until somebody was able to hack it and get it running on PCs. And then supposedly the whole script and everything leaked out. I'm not digging into it at all. I don't want to know.
Because that personal shit's out there. Which
it's out there.
It's horrible.
Yeah. If you're so inclined to see Wolverine spoilers or story, go ahead. But yeah, I'm
on that
staying
note,
away from
I believe y'all check me if I'm wrong, and Cesar, you come from an IT background as well, but turn on two-factor. I believe this was caused by some sort of phishing scheme where two-factor authentication was either circumvented or not properly implemented or followed. Make sure you do that. I know Cesar advised me of that years ago, I feel like, on all my accounts, and it's inconvenient as fuck when I'm trying to buy. The missus is playing all the Picross games on Nintendo Switch, and she wants all the Picross games while they're on sale, right? I beat S2, I need S3 and 4 and 5 and 6. I'm like, okay, I'll get them now. They're like $2 off a piece. And I have to go into Google Authenticator and copy that 6-digit code, come back to Switch Online.
Every time
it's pissing me off, and I'm like, okay, I could have had all this stolen. Or I've actually had, I don't know what sort of hack it was, because they never got anything. They added games to my account. I had 3 old school Sega games added to my account on the 360 back in the day. It was like Sega Bass Fishing, and there were 2 other titles that I did not purchase, and reached out to them. They were like, yeah, they're there. None of your payment methods have been compromised, anything like that. So I guess I benefited from the only time that had happened to me, but I still think about how easy it was for them to do something. So please turn on two-factor authentication if you haven't yet. That's not something you want to run into, especially if you're listening to the show with us. You probably have a pretty decent digital game library that you might not want to lose or have taken from you, or you have to fight to get back. Steam seems really good with this. They've got that Steam Guard app built in. I can't do anything outside of that Steam app that doesn't immediately like call for that Steam Guard authentication. You're signing in on a device. Where's this device? That sort of thing. It's quick with it. Moving on. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick to depart on December 29th. This has already occurred. This comes from Gamatsu and Sal Romano. Activision Blizzard executives to be overseen by Matt Booty, legendary Xbox executive Matt Booty. They haven't been trotting him out there recently, have they? I feel like we haven't seen Matt Booty in a minute. Yeah.
Not really.
Also, it's just fun to say Booty.
I was about to say, you just need to champion that on Twitter. Let's see that booty. Hashtag, let's see that booty.
Power your
at
dreams,
Microsoft.
Matt Booty. Give us the liquid-cooled 8K that we desire. What do you mean? Liquid cooled. Yeah,
booty.
sure. That might be our title with Games of the Year subtext.
Oh my god.
In addition to Kotick, Blizzard Entertainment and King Vice Chairman Humam Saknani will also leave the company at the end of December, and Activision Blizzard Chief Communications Officer Lulu Mersave will leave at the end of January 2024. This is, of course, all after the Activision Blizzard Microsoft merging. There was some sappy bullshit thing that Bobby Kotick sent out, but we've gone over the atrocities that occurred under his regime in the past.
Yeah.
No.
We don't care about him.
Blah, blah, blah. He dared to include River Raid in his bullshit nonsense, and I dare to. Oh, you piece of shit. Good riddance. Don't you ever drag River Raid or Carol Shaw's name into your BS ever again. As he sails off into a yacht.
Good news. Yeah, good news is he's gone. Bad news is he has that golden parachute, probably left with millions and millions. So
yeah,
he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Sailing away in that yacht. Thinking inside the box says Microsoft Authenticator is super annoying, but nice. LOL. Yes, that's all of our sentiments for two-factor.
Agreed.
There's a bunch of executive changes under that corporate ladder. I don't recognize any of those, so we don't need to touch on those. Phil did not think Bobby Kotick specifically. Oh, no, he did. With Bobby's impending departure, we are taking the next step. I'd like to thank Bobby for his invaluable contributions to this industry, his partnership in closing the Activision Blizzard acquisition, because he wanted to get paid, and make sure that Microsoft picked up these pieces, right? All right, good riddance.
They didn't welcome back Mike Ibarra
That was not included in the thing?
or Rod Ferguson.
He is back under the fold. Rod Ferguson. The Gears Viking is back in the house. Did they give him back Gears Viking? He's just the Diablo Viking now? I need to get back Diablo. That's another one of my 2023 regrets. The next story comes from wololo.net. Rumor, upcoming flash cart for all Nintendo Switch consoles, ? Hacking, we're not supposed to use that term anymore. Hacking news website Aftertime X report a video-based rumor that a flash cart could be in preparation for the Nintendo Switch. The flash cart apparently allows the Nintendo Switch to run backups, in quotes, on all models of the console and is allegedly compatible with all firmwares. There's video evidence. What was the name of this thing? I saw the name and it was more interesting than anything else.
Yeah, so it's been updated. There's been some more information that comes out. Yes, it's supposed to be able to be used on any Switch device, any model, any firmware. It is called the
That's
MiG
what it was.
Switch. MiG.
It had like the Russian jet fighter on it on the cover. The MiG fighter pilot.
Supposed to use some different file types to not correspond to the file types of Switch games that are currently out there on some websites. And they're also going to sell or bundle this with some other software in order to allow you to legitimately copy your physical copy of games to this in some way, shape, form,
Maybe
or
through
fashion.
the USB port to
The
some
only
other contraption.
But the weird thing is to cycle through this. So this
The MIG flash.
item is essentially just a Switch cart with a SD card slot on it, and it's got a little LED light on the top of it that indicates when it's in there and working. And to switch through your games, or to cycle through your games, you have to take it out, put it back in, take it out, put it back in, take it out, and I don't know. I see this. If you've got 30 game files on there, are you going to seriously going to have to pop this thing in and out 29 times to get to the specific game that you want at the very end of the list? And then if you miss it by accident, you're going to have to cycle all the way around.
Oh,
then you're wearing out the cartridge slot.
Like that. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
You can't just go from game 2 to game 14. You have to click in and out 13 times or 12 times to get to. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Is that in that proof of concept video?
Yes. The video that's been posted out there shows that working, and it shows them doing that every time.
So what they're doing,
popping it out,
my guess is by putting this out there, they'll have other enthusiasts reaching out to them like, hey, I could do a GUI for this so we don't have to pop it in 14 times. I can write something, batch script in the background that'll cycle through those games and maybe display text files of the names of each one, and you can select from that. It'd be cool to have a cart of my games that I already own that I didn't have to carry 30 of them with me. I always think about that with the Steam Deck. Like, if I'm going to travel, do I travel with 1,200 games, or do I pack 20 cartridges that I could potentially lose?
20 cartridges you could potentially lose.
Always. That's always the answer. Lose the cartridges.
Lose $1,000 worth of games.
Well,
in one pull.
And now there's rumors that what's his name, Gary Bowser, might be somewhat involved in this product. And Gary Bowser is the gentleman that was behind the whole Switch hacking scene and was selling hardware and software, and was sued by Nintendo, prosecuted, put in jail by Nintendo, and then he eventually got released, but his wages are garnished for like the rest of his life because he owes Nintendo like some 14 million or something like that. It's something ridiculous.
And he's Doug Bowser's relative.
Yeah. You would think. Yeah,
hey, Dougie, get me out of this, man. I was just playing. I wasn't going to keep those. Help me out, man. You gave me the source code. It's like, what? What happened? All right, last but not least, take us home, Brant.
Oh, you're talking about our PlayStation Essential games?
You get those. The ones you have access to, Brant.
I have access. Yes,
these are essential titles. These are 3 good titles, I believe. I've heard of all 3 of them.
They are actually very good titles.
And they're live now,
for the month of January, looks like
Tuesday, January 2nd.
Members, yep. Until February 5th. You can pick up these 3 titles. We have A Plague's Tale Requiem for PS5, Evil West, which is PS4, PS5, and Nobody Saves the World for PS4 and PS5. Oh, and there's an extra. What's this? Warframe.
No, that's a PS4 game. I actually think you could play it on PS3.
It's an exclusive PlayStation Plus pack.
All right, is this the year we flip from Warzone to Warframe?
Exclusive. Multiple weapons, armor, items, digital. Yeah, it's like Warzone perks or anything like that.
When are we going to try Warframe? I feel like we've tried almost all the free-to-play shooters. When is Warframe?
I tried Warframe
10 years ago.
Gosh, back
it
on
was
the
one
PS4,
of the launch titles for PS4. I was like, ooh, I don't have to pay for
Yeah.
this. I can just download this one.
And it was all right. I mean, it might be worth downloading and see how it's changed. because I know I was like, meh,
So
it's okay.
You have an
Back in the
experience
day.
with it, or you know anybody that's playing this one?
I mean, just like I said,
Just 10 years ago, yeah. But they have like a con and everything. They have a whole Warframe convention that they put on. It's huge.
still not convincing me to play it anymore.
I listened to, oh man, was it a podcast that I was listening to? I feel like somebody interviewed one of the Warframe community heads, and it wasn't My Perfect Console, the one I've been talking about. Which there was a Phil Fish episode, the designer of Fez. He's kind of a recluse, and that one was very, very, very good. That was a great episode. He had Ico on his list, if I remember right. And I was thinking, that's another game stuck on the PS3, PS2, and PS3. Give us the PS1 build. That'd be a fun collection. That's it. That's it for news.
That
You
is
guys
all
ready
the
to get into
news.
Game of the Year? Game of the Year discussions.
Yes. Our years in review /
Which I know he enjoyed on Game Pass. Pokemon Shining Pearl and Violet. I guess he put two.
Which
He
you
put two in
abandoned
there.
him on.
I believe it was Cesar. No,
did.
Cesar abandoned him. Which one did?
No, I beat the game. I'm waiting on him.
Was it Diamond I was playing that I abandoned?
You abandoned
was that
him.
this
I beat
year?
the game. I'm waiting on him.
Oh, it's been a long fucking year. Sorry, Boish. I'm glad the experience was so memorable to you. I dropped it like a bad habit. Okay, so he put Pearl and Violet in there. Speaking of which, 1080 snowboarding just came out on that N64 expansion pass thing. And there was a clip, I guess if you get far enough, you can ride a penguin. Like you can, you unlock a penguin as a snowboard. And there was a clip of that on Twitter, and somebody underneath it said, I thought that was a Pokemon Violet clip. The N64 snowboarding game. Too soon.
No, the 1080 clip, higher resolution looks better.
Yeah, less
Better frame
fog.
rate.
Finishing out Buish's list, Trombone Champ and Warzone, of course. We might have to all play Warzone, of course, at some point. It sounds like it might be a good video game. Buish, thank you for your contribution. I guess I'll power through mine. I'll lead us off. I usually lead us off on stuff. Some of these I won't elaborate on because there's 48 to 50 episodes of me talking about, in some cases, these games that you can go back and get your content fill on.
I mean, based off that, Brent would have Days Gone in it.
I'm fully expecting all 5 slots to be Days Gone. It'll be Days Gone on Monday, Days Gone on Tuesday, Days Gone on Wednesday. It's just a full week of Days Gone. There's 2 old games, right? And I'll go into this maybe after the games bit, maybe the memories part. But this for me was like the year of the handheld all over again. And despite that, it's that strong of a year of the handheld, right? I did not have the new Zelda game on my list. I didn't play that much of it. There were other things distracting me. Mario RPG that Brant has been raving about the past couple weeks. Super Mario Wonder that Cesar put all the time into. Like, the Switch alone could have been like the only thing you played this year. There's new Zelda, there's new Mario, there's new Metroid, there's new Kirby on this one platform. And yet the Steam Deck took so much of my time, and PlayStation's new PSP, which they are calling the Portal for some reason, allowed me to finish a video game. Like, I got through a game. It made it so easy to play my games. But 2 of those old games that I was able to get back to that I always wanted to play and finish. I'm not finished with one. I guess a spoiler on that one. I'm not finished with 2 of these. 2 of these 3 old games. But I'm very near the end. One of those, the one I completed, was Wolfenstein: The New Order. And that game is still sticking with me. Just the chaos that you go through and that alternate timeline and the variety of missions. It's like a perfect first-person shooter. It's a fantastic campaign and experience. It's so good. Whatever you have that will play Wolfenstein: The New Order, please play that video game. It is a video game-ass video game. And it was glorious on the Steam Deck. I did not plan on the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition stealing 45 hours of my time this year on the Steam Deck. It played flawlessly. It loaded fast. I'm in the very last area. I know for a fact of the story, you know, outside of all the side missions and everything. Everybody I've said that to, I told them, I was like, I'm trying to beat Skyrim. They're like, you don't actually beat Skyrim. That's not the point. I was like, no, I want to see where the story goes. There's actually a story that you can finish. But Skyrim, as everybody knows, is just one of those games that you can totally lose yourself in. What's that, Cesar? Oh, yeah, and
you've been
over like 5 other platforms, including a VR rendition, which I hope it comes to.
Still remember your drowning in your video
PS4 Pro. I think that was one of my first PS4 Pro patches. That the Skyrim came out right around that time. That iteration of Skyrim, I'm sorry. And it was like, hell yeah, let's see what it looks like on the Pro. It got a Pro patch. Let's see what that looks like. That's in the day of those early mid-gen consoles where it's like, let's see what this does. This is a new improvement that my new thing can play. The other old game is Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm in the very last section of that too, is the artifact hunt. Having that available on a new platform where you're not having to get a GameCube, and the GameCube game, which surprisingly is not very expensive, like you could still seek both of those out and play it, but I would argue you need the accurate display, you need a CRT to view that on, which is not always easy. It's just more legwork than, hey, here's a remastered version by Iron Galaxy that is everything you would want out of a remaster on a current platform, and it's $40. And we got it digitally and physically, which also is more than you can ask for. I'm hoping this leads to more Metroid games, more collections. Iron Galaxy did the Lord's work on this thing. I have not heard anything negative about this collection in the least. It's a phenomenal, or this game. It's a phenomenal way. I'm trying to will Metroid Prime Collection into existence. It's a phenomenal way to play this game, whether you're on TV or handheld. It's got the right control schemes for whatever you want. It's got the Wii control scheme. It's just a phenomenal game that came out this year. We put in the chat, Diamond, you abandoned me. I ignored that. Yes, I did. There's no need to bring up ancient history. Call of Duty Warzone is on my list of 5. So many hours in this game. I think it's on my... Oh, we were going to go through our platforms too, right? Or do we need to dive into that? I know Brant was talking about it last week. Here's how many games we played on this. Here's how many hours we played on this. Okay. I pulled those pages up just in case we ended up talking about them.
I mean, if you want to, you can.
Yeah, Call of Duty Warzone is by far my most played Xbox game of this past year. Friend of the show, Mills and Russell, were on me about, you got to try this Call of Duty game. And I was like, I fucking hate Call of Duty. I don't want to play this game. No, it's like Battle Royale. And then once we started playing it, that was it with Halo Infinite. We did not go back to Halo Infinite until I played 2 rounds this past weekend, and that is the only Halo I've touched since like February. And Halo Infinite was my number 2 Xbox game. That's all we played in February, apparently, until Warzone, and then that's just been it for me for Xbox. And then I did not number any of these. These are my top 5 experiences, but even though this is not my most played game of the year, this one is going to be the most impactful. It is now, and it will be for quite some time. And it's Final Fantasy 16 from the PlayStation 5. Is this the second Final Fantasy I've played all the way through and completed? And the only one I've completed in the year that it came out. I'm shocked that I beat a game somewhere around the time that it actually came out.
Usually you do it.
Yeah, they seem to be a lot more exciting. I'm like, okay, I'll buy that now, but I can't wait for it to be in a collection 2 generations from now. Thank you, Cesar, for calling me out of my bullshit. I'm currently got the Bat and Kaitos games in my cart from VGP. Like, I might play some Bat and Kaitos, and I have both the GameCube games on the shelf. Final Fantasy 16 is I don't even know how to describe it. It is an experience. I know both of you guys played through it. I loved everything about the story. The ending had me in tears last weekend, in a different way than Uncharted 4 that I spoke about the year before. It's still a tale of brothers, which hits me harder than anything else for some reason. It's a tale of so much. It's a tale of redemption, of revenge, of finding your place, of loss, of grief. It runs the gambit of so many emotions and story beats, and just when you think it's headed in one direction, it flips around on you, all the while maintaining fantastic soundtrack, beautiful visuals, engaging gameplay. You're constantly acquiring icons through various means that change up the way you approach the next boss battle or the next mission, or the way you interact with characters. And the characters, oh my god. By the time you get to the end, you've met Sidolphus and Otto and Mid and Lady Karen and Goots and Prince Dion, and just these characters. They don't even have one-off story beats. Their story is interwoven through multiple parts of the game. What was the guy's name in the desert town? Lubage something. Oh, we had a.
I don't know. Every time we do it,
Desert Rose.
Yeah.
He had multiple story instances where you end up back in that area, and there's just something going on, and you get this is like the game presents itself as something, and then these layers just pull back, and you would have been happy with the outside layer or maybe the second level, like, wow, this is solid, and then it just keeps going and it keeps pulling back. This is a Final Fantasy game. There's a Cid, there's chocobos, there's airships, there's steampunk, there's mystical swords, there's dragons, there's all the summons that you know, Bahamut, Odin, Ultima. These are all major characters and roles to play in this story, and it simply has to be experienced. My thing is always, if this game got stuck in your console, if that was a dedicated, oh man, I can't get it out of my PS2. I guess I have to play Vice City for the rest of my days. You know, that's okay. That's a $300 Vice City box. If this was stuck in my PS5, and I had a dedicated Final Fantasy 16 PS5, I wouldn't be short of even more experiences. And there's DLC. I'm not emotionally ready to go back into the DLC. But I do want to, because it kind of takes a step back in the timetable, I do want to see what some of that ends up looking like. But boy, we do need to have a spoiler cast maybe, but that ending was something else. And I've seen different interpretations on Reddit, and I would love to talk to you guys. And it just, man, what an experience. That was easily a highlight of 2023. And the PlayStation Portal, I had kind of fallen off, and it's like, man, I want to go down there and do some of these missions. All I've got right now is side quests before I go do this main story beat, and it's perfectly tailored for remote play or the PlayStation Portal, where you can just pick up, turn it on, connect to your PS5, knock out some of those story beats or side missions or whatever you want to do, put it back in rest mode, and move about your day. You can make. So I would have a mental barrier of coming to where my PS5 is, kind of removing myself from my family, not being around everybody, that sort of thing. And then just having the ease of access of the Portal, I was able to progress so much of that story and get back into it. I did finish on the OLED down here. As I started playing that last boss battle, I was like, I think I need to see this on the TV. I think I need to be sitting there at this. And I did play in story mode, so I had like timing assists, and it would heal me automatically if I got low enough, those sort of things. And I absolutely enjoyed that experience. It felt even more powerful to me to like if I missed a certain timing on an attack, I would have R1 right there on my screen. It's like, and then Clive taunts them like I don't have some helpful accessory on. I was like, too slow. Clive just like dodges. Oh, the voice acting. I can't talk enough about the voice acting of these the job that they turned in. I want to hear some clips from Cesar. Enjoyed the Japanese version. I want to hear some of that, but the cast that they assembled for this English release was just out of this world awesome. It's some of the best voice acting. The character models that they captured for the expressions, the anguish, just the emotions that the range of the characters would display, they were properly displayed, and it just, it was special. And it's a PS5 game. The DualSense editions, you'd be watching a cutscene and a door would slam maybe behind the character, and you would feel that in the DualSense, or when the spells got cast, or the various specials that you would use. It's an experience that cannot be missed. If you have a PlayStation 5, you have to own a copy of Final Fantasy 16. Absolutely incredible. Warzone, very close second. Warzone is my game to play with people. I'm not playing it by myself. I'm playing play with people. Also, I don't know if I can play any more 16 because I'm at 69 hours of Final Fantasy 16. I don't know if I can go one more hour
Not a
over
single
the.
more hour. Not
Does it at
one
least? Does the clock
single
separate
second.
the DLC? Does it? Does it separate out the? Oh, and I was just thinking about the crystals. Like I said, as a Final Fantasy game, it's got crystals, it's got Moogles, it's got a hunt board, it's got cactars, it's got all these other things that you're used to seeing in Final Fantasy games. Like that list doesn't stop. It was so awesome, man. I can't wait to see what's next. And even if there's more in this world, even if it's like a 16-2 outside of this DLC, I'm there for it. I love this character in this world. These characters in this world so much, and the 8 discs of music. I'll let y'all talk, and then we'll go into some other like memories and what we're looking forward to, that sort of thing. I need a break.
That's fine. Piggyback on yours. I did have Final Fantasy 16 on my list as well.
I'm imagining for a lot of the same reasons.
Yep. I mean, like I said, it's a Final Fantasy game, so true and through. And I do like this format, and I do hope they continue it. I think I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed 15, but I think this is a better format, story-wise, and how it presents itself.
It's a cohesive package. 15 felt disjointed, and that's probably the only complaint I had about it. I loved my time with that one too.
I enjoyed 15. I enjoyed the DLC. I just felt it should have all been there to begin with to enjoy it more. But joining piecemeal was kind of odd for me. But they've been doing that for a while because they did that for 13 as well because they came out with those prequel novels and everything for 13. You had to read the novels and beat the game, and then there's another novel, and then another novel, and then you go to the Lightning Returns. It's crazy and how it spreads the lore out there. Like I said, nothing I can't really add on there like graphically. It's a good looking game. I mean, hopefully it should be coming to PC this year, so that way other people can play it who have a chance to play it. It does not own a PlayStation.
Coming to PC, right? They announced coming to PC.
Yeah,
sometime this year. Yeah. I think it's the next port is the PC port.
And if that shit's Steam Deck playable, I will buy it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm supporting. I'm supporting this version of Final Fantasy. If they're putting this out, like, hey, this is Final Fantasy right now, I'm all for that. This game was so fucking good. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah. Like I said, I do enjoy the story beats on there. I know a lot of people felt the whole drama of the multiple kingdoms, a la like Game of Thrones, was more interesting for them, and then it went into the Final Fantasy ass bullshit towards the end, where they always seem to have that villain that's always doing something in the back end, controlling everything behind the scenes and pulling the strings, and that to get to the real story. And I was fine with that. But I get it. Some people wanted something different, but I mean, I did like this one. It's not like fucking 9 where you get the very end of the game, you get some random dude out of nowhere. Like, who the fuck is this guy? It was me the whole time. Whatever, man.
Yeah, there were hints of this boss very, very early on, but it's more the characters driving forth for an ultimate goal, right? To decide your fate, to have the ability to decide your own fate, which seems simple, but that's not in this world.
I mean, they were brought into that world by that god, and were forced to live out a role for his fancies. So, I mean, some people would argue that it's similar to what religion is nowadays, but I'll leave it at that. But
same thing.
Not going to bring that up here. But, I mean, it's you can tell where some of the stuff is based on. But neither here or there. It's like I said, like what Richard said. I mean, a lot of that is just breaking through your predetermined destiny to decide on how you should live your life and choose to end it and whatnot. And I mean, that's ultimately what those characters did by the end of that game. So.
Oh, and you were right about. I didn't touch on this. You were right about the Jill payoff, about doing all the side missions so that you see the Jill payoff. I'll leave it at that, and that was highly, highly worth it.
That's why there's some hints on like Reddit. If you ever read on there, like the ending's very open ended. It could go either way, type of thing. So, I guess similar to like how 10 was as well, where 10 was weirdly open ended.
I didn't beat that one. I do know there are some conflicting opinions. I haven't dove too deep in that one.
Yeah, and it gets weird because then said person shows
Right.
back up in 10-2, and then you're like, what? And then you spend half of the game explaining how that person is there. But no, it's neither here nor there. But yeah. I know that's
So
I'll
fucking
kick it over
good.
to Brant. I'm assuming Brant has it on there. As forms as well.
Yes, for a game that was semi on my radar this year when it was announced. I was like, oh, so it's a Final Fantasy game, another one. All right, well, this is what it's going to look like. It looks pretty cool. They're going back to the kind of medieval setting, and then it's like, I don't know. I might pick it up.
It didn't have
eventually.
that Final Fantasy cycle. It didn't have that buildup of like screens and here's an interview with this and here's a preview of the battle system, and it was all condensed. It felt like maybe a 6-week buildup. It didn't feel like the years of here's screens from Japan and like the usual churning that we have of that Final Fantasy engine.
Which is very, I don't mean to interrupt, but which is very smart.
It was
because it's always been oversaturated, and everybody's.
And then the product we got was a complete product. That disc is playable from start to finish.
And what got me was the release of the demo, because we all talked about that demo.
Fucking amazing.
It released on like a Thursday or Friday. I'm like, okay, so I'll have some time this weekend. I'll download it, I'll play it, and see what it's about. And holy shit, just the way that the demo just gets you from the get-go to play the first part of the story, and the way that the story starts and kicks off, and then it's just jumps you right into one of those icon battles, and kind of shows you what to do, what to expect. But it's this giant epic, almost kaiju-esque battle, and
that
I
2-hour demo
immediately after that. I'm like, I'm pre-ordering this fucking game, because I told you immediately. I was like, I pre-ordered
the deluxe edition,
the $100 one, and immediately. And you were like, I don't know.
But I played the demo right after you were hyping it up, and I couldn't put it down. I played it in one sitting. It's like, oh my god! And it's not. We keep saying demo. It's a prologue. It's a lead into the game about a month before the actual game came out. But I also pre-ordered for the first time in many, many years. Pre-ordered a video game in a brick and mortar retail store. I happily plopped down my cash on that one. And it didn't let up. That prologue is super action packed, and it's a story dump. But luckily, like Cecil was saying with the story, but there's either a character that will explain a lot of stuff to you, like it was Mid and Vivian. No, it was Vivian and Hippocrates they would fill in bits of the lore for you, right? But then this Final Fantasy has that you click in that trackpad on the DualSense controller, and you get the active time lore. You get the ATL. Yeah, and what the active time lore does is it brings up like multiple things that are in the scene that you can click on. So maybe Jill, Clive, and Torgal walking through a town. It'll have the name of the town, it'll have the characters, and it'll kind of give a synopsis of either how they got there, or what they're doing now, or what they might be looking for in that town. And it makes, as Cesar put it, Game of Thrones-esque. It would have made a lot of those kingdoms and conflicts and their respective dominant and icon and all. There's so many terms in this game, and it would have been super confusing. And it can be if you just, but over the course of like 45, 50, or 69 hours, nice. That becomes real helpful, and all that stuff becomes cohesive. Like, who the Titan is representing, and who Bahamut is leading, and Odin becomes even more and more fearsome and intimidating, and it's layer upon layer. Like I said, go ahead, Brant. Y'all got me back talking. Y'all got me back talking on it again.
No,
no, I mean,
good, because
you're right. Because 13 tried to do
the
same thing with the lore system with their breakdown of that game, and they did a bad job. They really learned well from it, because 13 was the same way. You had to go into a separate menu, and it broke down all the lore, and it still was tough to follow, man. I mean, they learned from that. So
it just took 2 iterations of the controller to put that pad in there to get it to where we could add that active time lore.
I mean, it was just a drop down list in 13. I mean, I think they did a better job of like getting straight to the point and explaining it more better. And even then, Hippocrates, he would go into greater detail if you wanted to know more issues, and they would spell it out a lot better than like I said. I remember them doing in 13. When I was going through it, I was still lost. So I mean, you had to read those books to kind of give you the backstory about what their motivation was.
It's the Halo of Final Fantasies.
This one, everything was there in that one complete product. So, I mean, I think they learned after 15, after all the, they listened to all the criticism and made some changes instead of like, oh, we know what we're doing and just keep doing it. So, you buy it, so you like it.
Oh, what a game. What a fucking game. I pre-ordered the art book. It's coming out in March. I believe the Japanese iteration's already out.
I also went ahead and jumped. Since it was only like 20,
yeah,
it was only
with
like
that coupon
$20,
code,
$22, something like that.
Get out of here! I can't wait for that thing.
Yeah.
You gonna wax poetically some more, Brant? Or are we dropping back to Cesar's list? Good touch on the demo, man. The demo really sells it. And if you have a PS5 and you're on the fence, like if we haven't convinced you, download that. That demo's still up there.
Oh yeah,
download. It's the first 2 hours of the game.
Yeah, that demo. I'm about to say, yeah.
And you will know. You will have a great... It's a great cross slice, whatever the term is, of gameplay, the dramatics of it, the setting, the music. You'll get just a fantastic view of what that experience is gonna entail over the next exactly 67 hours.
And Richard's got to congratulate Square Enix for putting out demos for every game they released.
Yes, and on that note, Cesar raved about Forspoken this year, and I went out and got that while it was on sale. It does not seem like that demo does that. So I do want to applaud them for those titles that do. I believe Forspoken was a little bit different in those regards, but it's more of like here's a part of the game that you can try out, but it doesn't carry over to the game. I know Cesar specifically means Dragon Quest XI is one of those that you can... It's basically free to start on just about every platform. And then you decide whether you want to... 10 hours worth. And you decide whether you want to keep going with it or not. Yes, please more of those. I love demos that are free to start and you can purchase the game later on. Think if that demo was in like a PlayStation Underground magazine or something back in the day. Along with like 3 or 4 other things. Maybe a Ratchet, maybe a level of Ratchet on there. For PS5.
Don't you say dirty words. You want me to keep going and then kick it back to you after that?
Yes, sir. I want to hear your title. I mean, I know what you guys spent your years with, but it's always fun hearing the culmination and like just a good summary of what we experienced.
The next one? To echo Wish in no particular order, my next one would be Mario Wonder. Wonderland or Wonderwall, whichever one you want, but Mario Wonder. But,
Mario Wonderwall.
That is a 2D platformer of a Mario game that I have not enjoyed since probably Super Mario World.
This one here?
Yeah, it's probably right. I got something conveniently blocked.
Oh no.
Your thing, but yeah, I had to move it down.
Or the one on Brant's shirt. Where is he at on the the recording?
No, the Super Nintendo one. I've said before in this podcast. I mean, I felt that this was like the true sequel to Super Mario World. Is where the other ones kind of got away and went and did different things in the 3D aspect outside of Yoshi's Island, which I adore.
Another great one.
But yeah, I think this one it added a new transformation, the elephant on there, and there's multiple ways of playing with different characters, and that's iterations they took from the Wii and the Wii U, and the changes they made there, and so I mean, this game has kind of like they took everything they worked on in the 2D space within the last decade or so, and perfected it in my opinion. So you not only that, I mean, Super Mario, was it Land on Wii U? Can't remember. World. No, it wasn't World. It was Land, right? 3D Land, Super Mario 3D Land on the Wii U. No, that's 3DS.
Yeah, it was on 3DS.
What the fuck was it called on the Wii U again? I don't know.
Was it just like New Super Mario Land or something like that?
I don't know, man. I lose track with this fucking naming convention they came up there, man. But I mean, they took in those 2D iterations they've done within the years and kind of took the best parts of them and put it in there. But I always felt that once you go through Mario Wonder, I felt like it was a true sequel to Super Mario World shoving shit. There was a world in the sky that was like Super Mario World, which was like Starland, which was the hardest levels you can do. I mean, I don't that it's bullshit. Just I lost like 20 lives just trying to go through the first level on there. It's like it's all fucking timing, and it's like it's got that shit in there if you enjoy that type of aspect in there. So I mean, it's in there. So I mean, graphically it looked great, played perfectly. I think it was like 60 frames per second. It's smooth. There was a lot of secrets in there. I mean, I mean, it took me about 10 hours to get through. So, I mean, I enjoyed my time with it, but it was definitely up there for me. I had a lot of fun with it because I think I maybe played the first hour, then I fell off and did some other things. And then when I came back, I know I played it on nonstop. I mean, I know there was a couple times I'm just firing shit up or watching something on TV, firing it up. And it was, I was playing on TV and held multiple different ways. So, that was definitely one of mine. I don't know if that was on your list or not, Brant, but.
No, I never got back to it. I definitely wanted to.
Yeah, it's a good time. I don't know if it's
was that wrapping up Wonder.
Not, so I don't know if he wants to add anything to it or not.
In a year where a brand new 2D Mario comes out that you compare to Super Mario World, and I don't get back to it, it's like there's too many games this year. There was too many good games. Like that should have been right up my alley, and I was just deep in the throes of the Portal and 16 and Warzone taking up my time.
Don't worry, man. They'll remaster it in 2 generations.
I can't wait for it on Switch 2 with HDR and 120 frames per second and
Switch 2
DSSR elephant skin
edition.
Switch 2 Pro Ultra Deluxe.
Yeah. So that's all I had. I'll kick it over to you, Richard.
I went through my list. Yeah,
I did
the Wolfenstein: The New Order, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, Metroid Prime Remastered, Final Fantasy 16, and Call of Duty Warzone.
Oh, okay. I thought we were kicking it back.
Oh, I didn't mean to power through mine. I did though. I see your format. We usually do round robin, don't we? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. I'll finish mine up real quick and pass it over to Brant. So, the next one on my list, no particular order, was Spider-Man 2. I sat there in one weekend and beat it. It took over my life. I thought it was a perfect game. It played well. I love the story missions. I never was bored with any of them. I always felt like they took the source material and treated it well, and they changed it. And I think they changed it for the better. So it's one of those ones where, comics change throughout the decades, and people will argue you up and down about whether the changes are valid or not. But I felt like they took the source material, made it their own, and made it their own universe, made it unique. It was like an ode to Venom in this game. So, I mean, there were so many different forms of Venom on here, and the future where that goes, and it's done well.
We might know where that Venom future goes in Insomniac games.
Right.
Cesar, I want to touch on one note before you keep going on that. How do you think Insomniac does this with the Spider-Man games and that universe they've created? And it seems like some of the other Marvel games, it's like, that's a Walmart version of Iron Man, or that Avengers game looks like shit because they are close, but it's not quite the right thing. Like, how do you think they're able to pull that off? Is it just their level of polish, or...
I just think they got the right writers, because I think, if I remember correctly, in the first Spider-Man game, I think they put Dan Slott in there, he was a comic book writer for years. Would he help with the story on that one? So I think they had a good foundation on there, and I think whoever they chose after those facts knew how to treat that world. And
they've just been able to create their own separate pillar of that franchise and just go with it.
I mean, if it's the whole Marvel or comic book aesthetic where you have these different universes and they have different feels. So some people always get upset because sometimes they make too many changes and then it turns into this whole political...
I don't hear that with the Spider-Man games. And if there is that talk, it's like less than 0.01% of the audience that enjoys the Spider-Man games.
Spider-Man, they're good at bringing in characters and making their own instead of just, doing carbon copies of other people. But,
is that what some of those other games are more guilty of? It's like, we didn't add much more depth. It's just the Hulk, and he just doesn't quite look like the Hulk.
I don't know. I think a lot of it's just because the most common conception in comics is a lot like you have a bit where I think, and this they've already done in the movie form, is like at one point Bruce Wayne broke his back and he couldn't be Batman anymore, and they brought in another guy that was Batman, and he was different because I think Robin or Nightwing had to take him down because he went too far. He was like he went full vigilante. He started getting to the point where he started trying to murder people. So it's like instead of just putting another person in there like, oh, he's Batman, it's just the same person. but they don't have their own identity
Right.
doing the same role, So, there's certain comic book arts that they'll tend to fall in those ears. So, and then there's some ones they'll change it up and make them their own. So, I remember reading that Batman one when they first introduced Bane in that time. So, and then at that point, Batman had to like re-heal up, fix his back, and go take his mantle back, because the guy he left it with was straight just murdering people at some point. So,
it's a good arc.
But like it's changes like that. But Spider-Man's always been pretty good. I don't think I've ever read really a bad Spider-Man comic, because I mean you go down to Ben Reilly and the Clone Saga, and there's even ones that I thought were weird that actually turned out pretty well, like Superior Spider-Man, which was the weirdest concept ever, where how Doc Ock's mind got inside Peter Parker's body, and he's like, I'm going to be the Superior Spider-Man, and he's like, he becomes Peter Parker and becomes a Spider-Man, but he's legit.
Toss me the whip.
He's in there, so it's like
it's Spider-Man.
yeah. So it's like they call it the Superior Spider-Man. So a lot of that stuff, like I remember when that came out and it was weird, but it was like it pays off. So I mean I've read a lot of good Spider-Man comics, and it's very rarely I read a bad one, but this one did pretty well on the source material, made it their own. So I think they've done it pretty well. I'm interested in see what they do in the Wolverine and the other X-Men universe out there and with their own stuff. So outside of that, I guess the next one up would be Tears of the Kingdom. That one also ate up a lot of
second
my
job.
time. Remember, I was up till like 4 in. I had to be at work in 2 hours sometimes, and I was like, shit, 4 in. I'm over here in the fucking dark beneath the world going on there. I mean, I enjoyed it much, much better than Breath of the Wild. I know some people felt the way around. It seems to be very divided on that. Like some people like the calm with Breath of the Wild and discovering stuff. I preferred this one because there was so much shit everywhere, and it was like no matter I walked into some mayoral race, and just random quests out of nowhere. I mean, that it was just so full of shit, because I'll find that and it's like somebody else is like, yeah, we're doing this over here and I'm doing this over here, and it's like that game up so much of my fucking time, and I did everything I could in that game. So went down there, explored the whole map, got every temple, beat every one of them, every shrine. So I mean, I went through it. So I remember just fucking breaking the game and getting the Master Sword very early and just going through and owning people after that. But because I don't have to worry about fucking building weapons anymore.
Always a plus.
But
in the new type Zelda games.
I wouldn't be mad if they released like a dual pack and put all these games back together and just make it one game like it should have been. But I'll fuck with that. I mean, it's really good. I like the story. I felt this was probably more along the lines of I've always been a Wind Waker fan, because I've always felt that the story was very strong in the game, and this is probably the closest I've seen where I've actually cared about a story in a Zelda game. Because I've the last couple ones, like Skyward Sword was good, and Twilight Princess was good, but it was like got convoluted towards the end for me. This one, that seems they had the right pacing and the right interest in there, and I do like this Ganondorf, and there's a lot of background on the Demon Lord thing, and I'm a fan of time-based media. Always have been. So like anything that fucks with timeline. So this one was very good at doing.
This is one I need to go back to, just like Mario Wonder. I didn't hate my time with it. I just got distracted on something else. More Zelda is not a bad thing.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I guess we're not doing top games, but probably the one that I enjoyed the most this year would be Alan Wake 2. I've always been an Alan Wake fan. I've always been a horror fan. This is very much a fucking horror game. Even to the points where it pisses me off with the whole. It's like Warzone with the chest with the ghost in your face. It's like
the jump scares
randomly in that game for me. Yeah, it's in there, but it's very much what I've missed from a horror game in the longest time. It's very psychological horror, like Silent Hill, and that's what I missed the most, because Silent Hill hasn't been Silent Hill in a long ass time, and nothing's really filling that void for me. But there's a lot of aspects in there as you play dual characters in there, and Saga and Alan, and you don't know what the fuck's going on, and there's parts of the story that are being force-fed to Saga, and and they're starting to come true, and it starts to affect her personal life, it starts to affect her daughter. She's under the impression she left her daughter and husband back home, and somehow her daughter is drowned, and somehow that's coming all to life based off the story that's being crafted in that game. And so for her to keep it together, and she can't reach her husband anymore, and and she's seeing all this stuff, like her childhood home is being popped up there, stuff like that. So it's like you don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on in this game. I think Alan Wake did a pretty good job of kind of touching on that one. I think they kind of perfected Alan Wake 2. They've done a pretty good
It's
job.
on a lot
on
of
this,
people's lists as well
where
this year.
Yeah, just it just does a good job of creating a good mystery, I think so. And then I love the whole fact that it goes into Control, the FBC's all up in there. So I mean, it's they play a big factor in there, as well as the background. The fucking janitor from the Control's in there. That guy's fucking crazy. So I'm like, he's in there just randomly spotting nonsense like he was in Control, and like it, but the nonsense made sense. He's like, it's crazy, and he ends up showing up on both halves of the story in Saga Story. He's like singing in a karaoke bar. It's like, this dude's everywhere. So I'm like, and he was like that in Control as well, because he would just show up at the random times and give you the information you need.
He's like the janitor from Scrubs.
And it would be in like,
is he antagonistic like that janitor?
No, he's like a happy-go-lucky Swedish guy,
Yeah.
Swedish man. So it's like he speaks in tongues. It's weird. So it's like yati this, yati that. It's just it does a pretty good job. But I think the thing that impressed me the most was I'm glad to see something that's like a psychological horror. It's been a long time. And I think they did a good job.
I'm hoping it gets a physical release at some point on that note, so that more people can have access to it.
They may. I mean, I think they did that with Control when they did the next gen version. Remember, they came out with digital first, and then they came out with the physical release a couple months later. So they may.
And I've downloaded both of those games because I know you love those Remedy games. I've downloaded Alan Wake Remastered and Control as Portal candidates.
Yeah, I love Control. It's like one of my favorite games. It's fucking X-Files as fuck. This one is mostly like this has aspects of Twin Peaks in there where they're just doing the drinking the coffee cups at the same time, and it's like they're just staring at the wall, just drinking at the same time, like they're robots in unison. It's like it's a lot of the stuff on there you see like a Twin Peaks esque in there as well, which a lot of games and a lot of media tries to replicate. And I think that's going to be it for me on the top 5. I'll just read off some high notes. Of course, Resident Evil 4. That was a high note for me this year. I enjoyed it a lot. It's just there was a lot of games in 2023. Warzone, of course. That was my multiplayer game. I think it was on my PlayStation's top 2 list twice. Somehow. It was also on my top list for Xbox, but since I've given my family member access to Microsoft Solitaire, I think I spent like 170 hours of Solitaire this year.
That's on top of your list.
That was not actually played by me. Yeah.
Oh, that's good
top of
stuff.
my list on that one. It also was like 100 hours on PC. I think I played it on multiple platforms.
You seem to
across
rotate
on
in
there.
between, and they make that easy to do now. So whatever you're feeling, you scratch the itch on whatever platform.
And then the last one is I've always been a horror fan. The most forgotten one in this list, probably because it was early out, was Dead Space. I did enjoy the remake a lot. I think it did it well. It remade all the good stuff about it. I did like some of the changes it had on there, but it was on there. There's just so much on there because I can list, a Star Wars Jedi Survivor came out this year too, right? So I mean, there's so much shit that came out this year that I've played that.
It's a good problem to have.
I could go on. I could go for 2023 is a good year, man. I mean, I'm excited for.
We're gonna look back. This is gonna be on one of those lists of like 98 and 2017 Breath of the Wild and Persona 5 and all that stuff came out. Horizon Zero Dawn. I think it was 2017. It's gonna be up there with those years of great games. 2007 Call of Duty 4 and BioShock and Half-Life 2 and all those, or Half-Life 2 Orange Box. Let's do, Cesar, if you're good, let's do another listener list. We have Thinking Inside the Box has sent us, I don't know if this is in a particular order, it is numbered, so I'll go from 5 to 1. Thinking Inside the Box, of course, is a fantastic podcast and, I guess, stream, like a Twitch channel. So check that out, mainly specializing in original Xbox stuff, which is where I found them on Reddit, of all places. Thinking Inside the Box says number 5, Trials series. I know they were streaming a lot of the Trials games here over the past year. Number 4, Outlaw Golf, 9 Holes of Christmas. It's a very specific golf game for the original Xbox. Number 3, Lollipop Chainsaw. That's one I want to get back to and play. Number 2, Binary Domain. And number 1, SnowRunner. Is SnowRunner like a racing game? I don't know what SnowRunner is. Yeah, I'm lost on that one.
Good question.
Great list. Thinking Inside the Box, thanks for sending that. I'm surprised Scooby-Doo did not make the list. Actually, I'm not. That might have been a good time streaming it, but the game did not look fantastic. I feel like SnowRunner has like a snowmobile thing on the front of it.
No, it's got like a big 18-wheeler on the front.
Add to block list. There it is. I found it. It's got an 18-wheeler on the front. Okay. You do a snowplow or something? Snowpiercer is what I'm thinking of. The runaway train.
Mm-hmm. Renee does SnowRunner when he drives through Canada.
Those Canadian SnowRunner drives.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, kind of like you can drive a bunch of different vehicles.
Is it like MotorStorm-esque looking at it?
No, I'd say more
Trucking
like
simulator.
a trucking simulator.
Thank you for the list. Thinking Inside the Box. Renee also sent us his list in apparently 5 different screenshots, so I'm going to have to look at that here after Brant's list.
I had to mute Renee because I was getting flooded
We'll
with
deduce,
text
yeah,
messages.
Renee, that's not a very conducive list to read across a podcast as the people you're sending it to are reading online. Why don't you put it in the chat, Renee, in a consumable format? Go ahead, Brant.
Well, you piqued my interest when you said you had a year of handhelds, because I actually did write that down.
Crazy,
year of
man.
handhelds.
Assessor's like always
for
has
me
been.
as well. Because I modded one of my old Game Boy Colors.
Oh, that was
changed
fun.
out the shell,
That was fun.
changed out the
Yeah.
screen, rechargeable battery, and then I got a little flash cart for it and was playing all these different Game Boy games on there. Game Boy Color
one of my
games.
housemates was playing Tetris on their phone and getting mad at Tetris, and I'm like, is that not a good version? And she said, no, it's just every like level there's an ad. And she would put down her phone and the ad would play for like 2.5 minutes. And I'm like, oh, this isn't Tetris. And I reshelled, I know you reshelled a Game Boy Color and put a new screen and all that in there. I reshelled a Game Boy Advance SP a couple years ago with co-founder Michael, his assistants, and I popped in an original copy of Tetris. And I was like, this is the way God intended. This is how you play this game. This is the perfect format of this. But I remember you putting that Pokemon Game Boy Color together. That is a beautiful piece of kit that you built.
Yes. I also bought a Steam Deck, so I played several hours on the Steam Deck, as well as bought a PSP Go, and spent several hours getting a bunch of games up and running on that thing. So, and just enjoyed playing around with it, because it was one of those where I said I never really understood why they did the Go at the time.
They were way ahead of the game.
But now that I have one,
way ahead of the game at the time.
yeah. But now that I have one, it's such a good little machine. It's so compact.
Plenty of memory in that thing for you to
I love
just
that
swap
thing.
in and out and add alongside your PS3 at the time. They were.
And the damn battery just lasts. It lasts forever. I can leave it sitting. I can charge it up, leave it sitting for months and months, pick it up. It's still got full battery.
I need to get one of those. I absolutely need to get one. They were way ahead of the game, man. I think if the PSP hadn't been on it was sunsetting when the Go came out, and the piracy thing. I believe friend of the show, Draw and Grave, was a big fan of acquiring backups for play on their PSP in this method.
It was also a year of a bunch of Legend of Zelda games. I beat Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, Link's Awakening, and Tears of the Kingdom almost.
I remember you
back
storming through those. It was crazy.
And came away with Wind Waker is still, it's one of those where I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's not a bad game. I love the soundtrack. Skyward Sword definitely got a bad rap. It is a pretty damn good game. Link's Awakening is just a freaking a masterpiece. And that one I definitely played on my modified Game Boy. I I'd do the Nintendo Switch thing where I actually would plug it into that Game Boy and take it with me. And then when I got home, I actually would plug it into the Game Boy player on the GameCube and play it on the TV.
Nintendo's been trying to
So-
achieve the Switch since back then.
Shoot, since
The Super
since
Game Boy.
the Super Game Boy on damn.
Yeah, they always had some sort of
SNES.
iteration that you could plug in and play your to-go games on the TV.
Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead do these honorable mentions, get them out of the way. So the ones that were very good took up a good bit of my time, and I really enjoyed my time with, but didn't necessarily make my top 5 are Metroid Prime Remaster. Like you had already brought up, it's great to have that in a new physical, digital, updated, brand shiny, spanking new, easy to access format.
It's a cultural touchstone, you know. Like it should be available.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a copy of Casablanca for any generation to play. Anyone should be able to access Metroid Prime through some sort of means. You still have to have at least a Switch Lite, $200, $240 to participate in Metroid Prime, but it should be accessible. Wind Waker, I would argue, is one of those titles.
Hey man, I'll keep buying
Wind
games.
Waker is pretty good.
I'll keep buying games instead of powering them if they
Yep.
keep releasing them.
Oh yeah, as long as they present them in a fashion that is
Purchasable.
that I'm able to buy them in. Yes, I will buy
If
them.
not, I will still find
all
them and
day.
play them.
I still will buy them shitty versions because I played a shitty version of Metal Gear Solid on the PS5. So. Which, if you guys have not played it yet, I think they're the update that's coming next year adds all
CRT
the filters
filters.
and everything to it to make it a better
Yeah.
version. Yeah. Which is crazy because M2 did this port on, but this was their first PlayStation port.
M2 did the Metroid stuff? Metroid stuff. Metal Gear stuff?
No, Metal Gear 1.
Interesting.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's why the button presses are in there so detailed and stuff, right? That attention to detail is definitely reminiscent of M2's
I mean,
work.
I don't want to get too off the track because I know Brand's going on there, but I know when I was showing you and Russell, because I was playing it and it was in Japanese language and it was in English, is because there is 5 different ISOs for 5 different versions of Metal Gear. It's like you can't go in there and change the languages. It's like once I loaded it up there, you're like, why is it in Japanese? And you don't understand. It's like, look, it's ISO. Once it loaded, This is the game. So like this is as far as I got in the game. It is so it's in English. It's just the text is in Japanese. So, but yeah, it's like it's what 5 different ISOs, Brand, in that Metal Gear Solid.
Yep.
one?
Yeah.
None of them are interchangeable. You have to load the.
We got a
ISO,
Metal Gear Solid collection this past year, which with this patch sounds even greater of a value than it was before.
They're gonna keep fixing it. It's gonna get better. Just whatever's on that disc is not gonna be worth it.
But you'll have an updatable build of it.
Because I think it's now fucking playable on PC now to a standard that's not bullshit.
Yeah, PC was the one to PC and Switch were the ones to avoid. I think the early notes were definitely Xbox or PlayStation on that one.
Yep. All right, Brand. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. Then I had the whole Arkham series because I ran through them again this year. These came up as another honorable mention because I played the hell out of them on the Steam Deck.
So proud of you, Brand. You pushed back against the powers that be and said, "No, I'm not buying that Switch version."
Hey, you walked me through how to install
I played
Arkham
them
Asylum.
before.
Yep.
Yeah, I put them on there ahead of the Arkham release on Switch, and by the time I finished the very last game, of Arkham Knight became fully playable on the Steam Deck, fully verified.
And you had the way you had me install Arkham Asylum, it runs flawlessly on there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful on Steam Deck.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It runs so. It's one of those that comes up as like, oh no, that doesn't work, and then you boot it up.
That's the way to play.
It's flawless.
Mm-hmm.
It's flawless. And then my last honorable mention is Spider-Man 2. Just barely edged out of my top 5, but still an amazing game.
All the Spider-Man games are on my list as well for the Portal.
You have to. As soon as you have time. You started.
I haven't played a
the
minute
first one,
of
didn't
any
you?
Spider-Man game. Yep.
No.
Yeah, they're all done very well.
And I don't need any. It finally doesn't
Yeah,
have the weight of, oh, you got to watch 12 movies before you go into this one. I can just jump into the Spider-Man.
the whole new universe
Yeah.
outside
Yeah,
of
you
it.
can-
The only context you have, he's been
Yeah.
doing it for a while. That's it. That's the only
Yeah.
context. It's no origin story like they've done a million times.
Yeah, I think you can knock out the first one
I beat it again when on PS5.
decently fast.
Yeah, it's like 15 hours when I played it again. It's not that long.
And then Miles Morales is
5
a
or 6.
handful
Oh,
of
wow.
hours. Yeah,
I
it's
can
not
power
very
through
long at
those,
all,
yeah.
but it's also very good.
I remember Cesar when Spider-Man 2 came out. We talked about it on the show like 3 days after that. He's like, yeah, I beat it last night. Here's what you were like, oh.
I put 30 hours in there, man. I beat the fuck out of that game.
It's like
I
a
beat
job.
everything. I did everything. I mean, that. Yeah. Hey, man, it pulled me in there. I love Spider-Man, dude.
I believe the
was a good-ass
remasters on
game.
the
It really
is it on
was.
the PlayStation Essentials thing. I know I got a digital copy with that Miles Morales PS5 copy I got.
No, I don't
They-
think they've had
they
the
didn't put it on that-
remastered
on that service.
on there yet. Mm-mm. Yeah, well, no, I don't.
I
I
want
don't
more
think
from
so.
that
I'd have to
service
double
this
check.
next year. I want to see Sony really step into that. Now that I'm leaning digital on some of my in-house PlayStation playage, so I don't have to get up and swap discs out. I would like access to more with that service.
Hey, man. I'm at the point now where I buy digital and then I pick up physical when it's on sale. So
I might be leaning that direction. I might be.
Oh,
only because Sony tends to have their physical games 20 or less. Like if it was Nintendo, it's no telling when that shit.
I mean,
goes,
I'm okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm day oneing Nintendo stuff for the
That's the
most
only
part.
reason
I'm not
why.
buying any Xbox physical games whatsoever.
oh no,
I'm not the only one. I've strictly went digital on the Xbox. I think. Richard, if you have do you have Gears of War 360 Japanese?
That's a very specific, but no, I don't have a Japanese copy of Gears of War 360.
My copies are coming in soon. I'm about to go through it.
Are they expensive? Like, what was the reason? What's the logic behind it?
No. I just want to hear Dom in Japanese. Dom. It's in English. Too,
Really?
Like, the text is in
Dom.
English, but it's all in Japanese.
Oh, this is
yeah.
kind of
The
exciting.
language,
Why didn't
yeah,
you let us
voicing.
know? This is kind of
Yeah.
exciting.
I just jumped on it yesterday. I was like, oh, 1 and 2, I fucking buy it. It says on their Japan version on there when you
I
look at
have
the trophy list.
I have
or the
Halo
achievement
1 through
list.
3, the Japanese ones, because their box art was better, in my opinion. That Japanese box art for a Halo was awesome.
I was watching the YouTube videos. I was like, it's all Japanese. It's good. Anya.
Baird.
Somebody, I think I watched some VTuber that went through 1 through 5 on Game Pass in Japan, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this shit in Japanese.
That's
Let's
cool.
go.
That's very cool. I love me some Gears.
But yeah,
man.
it's backwards compatible. When I throw the disc in the X, it'll just download the Japanese ROM. So
I didn't know that. I didn't know it would do that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it does.
Very interesting.
So if you want to play co-op, go ahead. I think it's like $8
That's not-
on eBay.
That's not
for the
bad
first
at
one, at
all.
least.
it's
The
not
third,
bad.
the third one's the most expensive one. It was like almost $50
What?
for the third one.
Why is that?
What?
Yeah. The triple pack's like $75 only because the
God
third one's
damn. Why is Gears of War 3 so
Yeah.
expensive in Japan?
I don't know. I found so many copies of 1 and 2. I bought a double pack of 1 and 2. The
Yeah.
Platinum Hits edition. That's the one I bought. Seto Z.
Settle Z, that's what my Halos are.
It was like $18. Shipped.
Wow.
And I was like, but it's like $35 or $40 for Gears of War 3. I was like, I'll just wait because I was gonna get all 3 of them. But
Love me some Gears, man. I'm going to talk about
I don't know
Gears
why-
on my
I
year
don't
in
know why I did
review
that,
here
but-
coming up.
I don't know why I did, but I said fuck it.
I like that. I respect that. Send us the box or post the box art picture when you get it in. I'm excited.
I think it's very
Okay.
similar to the American one. Yeah.
Brant's List 2023. This is a good episode. I'm enjoying these memories
All right.
because I remember as we discussed them throughout the year.
All right, so now we're at my top 5. Of course, I mentioned Final Fantasy 16. Also, no surprise, I'm sure. Super Mario RPG
Awesome.
made my list. I went on about that game the
You
past
did.
3 weeks, and I'm absolutely
Mine is still sealed.
amazing.
It's not even unwrapped. I'm
Uh,
kicking myself. Believe me.
It's an absolutely amazing game. Beautiful remake. My son recently got it as well. from the Christmas holiday, and he even went farther than I did, playing the post-game battles and telling me all about how crazy they are, and there's crazy bosses and things you can get into, and it's just a hell of a time. The characters are great, the writing's great. It's really quirky, got a lot of personality. If you've never played this, or even if you did back in the day, it is worth the revisit. They did a really, really, really good job on this remake. Another remake, Cesar mentioned this. It did not make his top 5. It did make mine. Resident Evil 4 remake. One that was very faithful to the source material, yet tweaked everything in such a way to get you out of your comfort zone if you were like me and you've played several different versions of this game several times, and these little tiny tricks and little quirks of the game, and it would turn you on your own head if you thought you could rely on some of those old tricks in some scenarios, and you'd have to stop and be like, okay, well, obviously that old trick's not going to work anymore. I'm going to have to feel this out, figure it out again. And you would basically experience the game again for the first time. And they did such a good job.
It's a beautiful remake.
Ashley was a hell of a lot less annoying.
Yeah. And they gave Isaac a voice in this one too, right? Instead of waiting for the second game, right?
Yeah.
I played a good bit of this with my housemates, like probably 5 or 6 hours in one sitting, and we were enjoying every minute of it. We got to get back to that playthrough. It was a lot of fun, and I didn't.
It was
a year of survival horror. I didn't play a single second of it. I was watching all of it and enjoying every minute of it.
The characters were, I felt like, fleshed out a little bit better than in the first game. The pacing was perfect. Just everything about this game hits every time I picked up the controller. Never missed a beat.
I gladly went ahead and rebought the $7 deluxe edition on Xbox again. So.
Oh, I'm this close to buying it on Steam Deck and playing it again.
Did they get it ironed out a little bit? I think I downloaded the demo when it came out just because Steam Deck was new, and I was like, let me see how this runs, and it was kind of janky on the.
Yeah, it ran. I ran the demo, and it was okay. There was.
I mean, EA's kind of weird with their games on Steam Deck.
Yes.
They integrate a lot of the EA play bullshit in there, or Origin. So it's like
it's never straightforward on the Steam Deck. It's always like a certain level of prayer to get an EA game.
It's the only negativity on the Windows aspect, but I'm hoping when they do the dual OS and they can put Windows on that thing, it would help out on some of those games. So,
another game was actually a bit of DLC that made my Game of the Year list. It is the Dead Cells Castlevania DLC.
It counts.
I talked about this a lot because this was one of those where I either saw it and just bought it on a whim, or I used like my platinum points.
You saw
gold
Castlevania
points.
And you knew what you're buying.
Sucker for Castlevania.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I used my platinum points, or I had banked money on my Nintendo account, and I was like, Castlevania, yes, shut up and take my money.
You like Castlevania, don't you?
Oh yes, I love Castlevania. Castlevania. Psycho Mantis.
Richter.
Metal Gear. And I sat down, started playing it. My son sat next to me, and it got to the point where, if I died or something, because it is that roguelite game, we would just sit there and we'd pass the controller, and we'd, go here, do that. Oh, you got this weapon. And, it was kind of those old couch co-op hype moments.
Too. It's not like the same shit. That's what makes it.
Would I like Dead Cells? I've always thought about trying it, but I don't know.
I think honestly, because I bought Dead Cells and I played it a little bit, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool, this is unique, And then I put it down. Once that Castlevania DLC, it got
That
me
was your jam
way
at that
more
point.
into Dead Cells.
You needed that coat,
I think,
that licensing coat.
yeah, I think you would probably have about the same, because it kind of gets you, it's the same kind of Dead Cells gameplay. You get the feel for it, but then there's also all this familiarity with the Castlevania franchise
Right.
woven into that. So it's a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it immensely. And then the last one, because we've got Resident Evil, Super Mario RPG, Dead Cells DLC, Final Fantasy 16, and my very last game. My probably, I would say, if there was an order, this would be at the top. The other ones, they're all right there. But Tears of the Kingdom is probably got on my tippy top of the list, just because I did have some problems with not necessarily the game mechanics, but I did talk. I think at one point, me and Cesar kind of talked about a couple of the things in this game. Mainly, it was the dungeons and how they wound up being very samey. It's go do the 5 things in here that you need to do in the dungeon. Okay, now fight the boss. Every time you went in there was 5 locked doors, or 5 things you needed to go turn on, or 5 things you over here you have to activate, and then go fight the boss. It was very routine, but the game as a whole, the mechanics they added with the Ultra Hand abilities and the Ascend and all these different ways and things
New ways
that
to
you can
interact
do,
with that
create,
world. Solve puzzles and such.
and
Damn, gaming kitty.
now my gaming kitties, as well as the story. The story had me so much going on the side quests and learning about what a certain character is doing in the past, and getting to the point where I'm looking at the fate of a different character and wondering what the hell's going on. How can I save this? How can I do this? How can I change this? And wondering what's going to happen, if something's going to work out. What happens?
I didn't get to that part. That sounds much more interesting. Sounds much more interesting.
The time-based stuff is really good. Yeah, it's very well thought out. Because when you do anything time-based, you got to be very. It's easy to do loops or holes in your story, but they did a very good job with it.
Yeah, there's this. I can't even go into it because I don't want to spoil it for you. But yeah, there was something that I had my suspicions about that's you can experience on the map, and I'm like, oh, what's this? This is what is this doing here? What is this thing? And then kind of putting it all together, and I'm like, what does this mean? What do I do to change this outcome? How can I do this? And legitimately being flustered and wanting to do something about it, and up to the point where going through the whole end of the game, there's like a whole gauntlet you have to get to at the end to run through to get to the final fight. And I mean,
that was tough, man. There were some areas I just had to run through it, just pray to God.
You know how when you get into the depths, Richard, right?
I did that a couple times, and there's like shit trying to grab me the whole time. I'm like, fuck this place.
Yeah. Well, you know how enemies down there,
it's like instant kill shit.
If they hit you, like it's not. Well, some of them are instant kill, but you know how some of them, when they hit you, it'll like break a heart.
Yeah. And
you can't heal it. You have to go topside for it to become whole again, and then you can, use healing items and things like that. You have to go somewhere where there are the place you have to go through to get to the final battle is infested with literally every single type of enemy that are covered in that stuff, like darkness. And so if you get hit, your hearts are broken and it's oh, it's such a slog to get to that point.
Sounds awesome.
And then you get there and it's
Brant,
it's just a battle. It's just a battle.
Brant, now hear me out.
What?
I had every heart in the game. So I didn't
Oh yeah,
much.
Yeah, me
Hear
me
me out.
either.
Hear me out.
Me either. And I mean, once you know what to do, there's recipes to restore your hearts.
Are they talking to each other through the thing somehow? My cat's
No,
yelling
he's
at me.
talking
My
to me.
gaming kitty's yelling at me.
Yelling
He's
at
right
me.
here. Cesar, you're frozen, by the way. We hear
somebody's
you
le-
fine, but you're frozen. Oh,
No, he's not frozen.
he's on my side on the stream.
He's yeah. Well, is he on the stream?
Oh, we can hear him.
I don't know.
We can hear him.
Yeah,
So
probably in
that's
the
fine.
stream I am. It's fine.
Freeze frame.
I have to sit there and leave and come back.
Freeze frame.
That's weird. Yeah, I guess he is frozen on the frame.
It's all good.
On the
He's
stream
just
there.
thinking about your
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom. Whatchamacallit? Commentary.
But literally, I mean, up to the final point where, I did the started the final battle, going through, having my troubles with it. Like most of the most of these games, you have the rule of 3. So you're going to have to battle the final boss a few times. And
Yeah.
he goes through his different stages, and by the time I'm at the last stage, I am standing up in the middle of the room, doing the actions, and as soon as I finish, I'm like, yes! I'm yelling, I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, yeah, I got you. And it
That's
was
great.
such a hype moment. And then to see the whole story finish, come
Yep.
full circle.
Yeah.
Um,
Brand, don't forget that my highlight of 2023 is that fucking life bar.
yes, that was
Hey,
one
going from
thing.
one end of the screen to the other, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, that was you fight, you start the fight, he does his thing, and then he's like, okay, well, yeah, now we fight.
Now I'm
And
gonna get serious.
that health bar goes across. I'm like,
I was
it
like,
just
oh
keeps
my
going.
God.
It just keeps going.
I
It's
said out loud, I was
such
like,
a
oh my
huge health bar.
God.
What a
the
great
fuck?
presentation, though. Like, in the midst of that battle, you see
It
this
was- yeah.
like beef up happen. What a great mechanic.
Because he's pretty tough. His first iteration is by no means
Just like Breath of the Wild.
pushover. He's decently tough.
Yeah.
But then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's like cracking his neck. He's like, all right, now we're gonna fight. Now we're gonna fight. And you see that health bar, you're like, son of a bitch, stop,
Shit will not end.
stop.
Yeah, it won't end. I was like, what the fuck?
It just keeps going across the screen.
To my life, I'll probably never forget that moment. That's probably one of the things that'll ever stick to me because I never expected it. It just
Yeah.
kept fucking going. I was like, oh my God.
Awesome.
Because you're used to these enemies when they have the health bar just popping up and it's
Yeah.
tiny, or the big bosses it's it's in these little brackets, but it's like, oh, okay, that's manageable.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, all right. It's the second time. It's the second battle. Let's go. Yeah, second.
This
second
shit
part of the
just
battle.
goes all the way across the top of the screen. You're like, oh my god,
That's awesome.
oh my god.
I love it in the story
So,
and in the
yeah,
game mechanics like that. It's perfect. What a good element.
Yeah, it definitely topped my list. It was so great. I was surprised when you didn't get deep into this. I think if you I sent you that map with the order to collect the tiers. I think if you collect this tiers and slowly work your way through the story and get the backstory and things, I think you'll really get that driving force in you to be like, okay, I gotta do this.
I have to invest
gotta
some more
complete
time
this
in it.
game.
It seemed to thwart me in a way that, Cesar mentioned that some people were like on the Breath of the Wild side and some were on the Tears of the Kingdom side. I definitely see the correlations between them. But it didn't grab me in the same way, and I always felt like I was playing it. I hate playing a game and feel like I'm playing it the wrong way. And that game reminded me more than not that I was playing it the wrong way. Like, even when I was, I got topside or whatever, or I got down to the surface, and it was like, you need to look at these artifacts. Go up in this balloon and look at these artifacts. And it never tripped anything. Like, it never did anything. And I was like, okay, I'm fucking this up too. And It became a exercise in aggravation, and there were too many other things. I'm already easily distracted. There were already too many other things at that point pulling me away from that. It was like this. I'm not enjoying this like I did the first time. It had its moments beat to beat, but it's like getting off that fucking island where you had to heat yourself up or something to. It was lessons in frustration.
Yeah.
And friend of the show, Russell, stopped at the same part. I was like, man. But I'm off that first part. I need to get back in it, just kind of fuck around and explore and get a rhythm for the little bit of combat here and there, and get back into that rhythm of it. Because I know it's a great video game.
Yeah.
I never, for the show, Mills likes to tell me that that you hate Tears of the Kingdom and all this kind of stuff. Because I was so in love. I still think Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. Like I just was so immersed in that. I liked the beasts. I liked the puzzles. I liked that story. But you guys are raving about this one. I know it's a fantastic video game. I just need to give it more time. I need to give it more time, and that's all it is.
Yeah, that was one thing. Was
getting that figured open world games, man, and I fucking I mean, it holds your hand for that first little bit, and after that, I went out the order of the memories. I never went into the proper order, and I still enjoyed the fuck of it. I just ended up just finding it. So.
My gaming shock of the year was the young historian that grew up between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Pura. Yeah, she was loved by the internet. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, but she's found
eternal,
the elixir.
Eternal
life. Yeah, so.
Yeah, she's hundreds of years old.
She's like the most anime character ever. Like they just keep changing their appearance all the time just because they can. So.
But yeah, I'm with you. That first part, where you're in those sky islands and you're trying to navigate the cold, and then once you get on the ground, once you even get there, you're like, oh, well, I played Breath of the Wild. How hard can this be? And that game will kick you.
I died immediately so many times. It's like, sure.
And you start dying back. You're like, man, I don't remember this being this hard. And you've got to kind of readjust and be like, okay, let's take a step back. I don't know anything. I need to reapproach this. So
it's on my list to get back to for sure.
I freaking love that game.
I got to break the Switch back out and get to some of these titles from this year. Mario Wonder being one of them that was on Cesar's list as well.
That one I've been meaning to go back to, and that's the thing. I started playing it alone, and then the family was like, "Oh yeah, we should play that." So
that's the point I got to.
And we started playing together, and then we stopped playing because other things came out, and we never went back to it. So now I'm debating: do I go back and play it by myself? Do I say, "Hey guys, come on, let's play something together"? And
not
try to
only
get
am I thinking about picking it up by myself, but that Nitro deck thing that you guys both rave about that came out this year has been like a flash sale on Amazon. So I haven't jumped on it yet, but I'm tempted. That might be kind of the Portal / Steam Deck thing to get me back over into the Switch camp.
That's worth it.
Yeah, I know.
I like mine a lot. Yeah, I don't use my
Joy-Cons
anymore. Yeah, I literally have to remember to take them with me if I go somewhere.
That's why I love that time playing yours. And there's not a whole lot of 2-stick games that I play, like Mario Wonder, Zelda would just be camera controls. Excuse me. Let's do another list. Brant, was that your wrap up? Let's do another list from friend of the show, Renee. We have, for some reason, he sent me 2 separate lists, but I'm going to combine them.
He sent you like a serial killer photos.
Yes, I got the Son of Sam version first off from Renee, but he also put in the chat his list. That's going to be Halo Infinite, I think. I think Renee has stuck with that, with getting some Fiesta in with Cesar.
Renee is a renowned Halo fan.
Yeah, I know he's a big Halo fan. And Infinite's good. Those 2 rounds I played the other night were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun. It did not feel bullshitty like it did when we tapped out on it and switched to Warzone. Speaking of which, Warzone is next on his list. And he has Soul Hackers 2. That rounds out his first segment that he sent me. The second segment has Final Fantasy 16, which made all of our lists. God of War Ragnarok, Apex Legends, and Gundam Evolution. Gundam Evolution, I think, is the one I'm not familiar with.
It's the one that's already delisted.
Oh,
servers are turned off.
Thanks for that recommendation, Renee.
It was trying to get you in there right before it died. It died. In
Just like Babylon's Fall that you guys played a little bit of, and I got our neighbor to buy.
I mean, that game is like the most. That's the most ranked game ever. So, because it's straight
Gundam Evolution.
Overwatch with Gundam.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Overwatch with Gundams. That's it. Protect the
Damn.
payload, and you have different Gundams with different abilities, attack each other, and it's just Overwatch. Yeah.
Thank you, Renee, for the list. Appreciate you chiming in on the chat and the Son of Sam version that you sent me and Cesar via text. Some of my other highlights I just wanted to throw out there. They're not necessarily games so much as experiences, but already mentioned Year of the Handheld, Steam Deck, Portal. The PlayStation Portal got a lot of play here. Thoroughly enjoying my time with it. Nintendo strong year. I mentioned that. Kirby, Zelda, Mario. We got Mario Wonder and Mario RPG within the span of a month and a half, 6 weeks. A fantastic Metroid game.
Just them combining to do one console
Yeah.
instead of two separate ones.
Yeah,
really
the Switch is going to
paid
go
off.
down as an all-time great console, if not one of the best ever, and top selling. Warzone took over our lives and our free time. I know mine. Many weeks we would get on here, and my only game played was Warzone. That would be my only update. And on that note, the time that we spent on the North Carolina Warzone servers, Cesar was part of this, and us grinding away to get that win at the very end as we pseudo land Warzone on vacation. That was a lot of fun. The next two are games with friends. Jeremy, friend of the show, Jeremy and I are playing Gears of War co-op, and that has been a lot of fun. The holidays have kind of gotten in the way these past couple weeks, but it seems like 2 or 3 Thursdays in a row there we were playing through the first Gears of War. So now that Gears of War keeps coming up on the show, I would definitely want to get back to Gears Ultimate, our playthrough, and then he's never played any of them, so he wants to keep going with that series. And then Final Fantasy IX. Russell and I have been playing Final Fantasy IX on and off when he's here. And we're through to the Festival of the Hunt. So we're waiting. When next time he's here, we're going to do the Festival of the Hunt. And I know for a fact we don't have the Beast Killer or whatever that attribute is that Zidane can get. So Zidane is not going to win the Festival of the Hunt. So basically we just got to go out there and just let the timer die so somebody else can get that thing.
You're gonna wait till there's another bad Falcon.
Yeah,
team so
sure.
you can jump
I'm
on
ready
there.
for that now. It doesn't matter what day of the week they're playing. And last but not least, recently I've been talking about on the show is rediscovering the NES library. I've been following that Jeff Gersman series on YouTube, and that is highly entertaining. Highly recommend. Going through these, I thought I had a definitive NES library, and I'm discovering all sorts of games that I never knew existed. And I'm playing them with a housemate of mine who has no historical recollection of the NES, so I'm introducing them to Contra and Mario Brothers 3 and Legendary Wings by Capcom and just all sorts of titles. And it's like that sense of discovery of a library that you thought, everybody knows Mario Brothers 3 and Zelda and Duck Hunt and things like that, but not only discovering new titles in that library, but seeing it through another lens, like seeing someone else playing those games has been a lot of fun. That's kind of some things that stuck out over the year. It's been a good year for games. I've enjoyed playing games this year, both old and new. Y'all have anything from this past year that stands out event-wise?
No, just the Warzone matches we had this year, and then all the survival horror games I played this year between Alan Wake 2, Dead Space,
Callisto
Resident Evil
Protocol
4,
DLC.
Signalit. Yeah, Signalis. There's a lot of horror games that came out that.
Speaking of
put a lot of
Signalis,
time
did
in there,
anybody
so.
else get a copy of that recently? Does anybody have Signalis? No one has it?
Not yet.
Really? Cesar, is that the one?
Yet.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody's not checked their notifications on said
okay.
device, so.
One of the three of us may have had a birthday not too long ago and may have been the recipient of some Steam games and apparently not been on their Steam Deck to reap the bounty of.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's that game we're talking about might be one of those games, so.
Holy shit. Thank you.
Oh. Cesar and I's birthdays are close, and I woke up to a Steam gift, and I was like, "What is this? I didn't know this was a thing." So we had fun with it. You may want to fire up Steam here in the near future, Brant. See if there's any new additions to your library that you don't remember.
Yeah. I'm not sure how long it takes. You have to claim it, so it keeps it in limbo for a while. I'm not sure how long.
Yeah, we haven't let it go too long.
Okay.
I like how that came up. Has anybody recently acquired a copy of that? Not yet. You might have. You just don't know. All right, Brant, did you have anything? Yes. Vroom vroom. Brant, did you have anything that stood out from this past year?
No. I mean, I had some changes in my career.
Always clutch.
Different hours worked, different position with more responsibility. So unfortunately, I had been streaming some games because I historically had Mondays off, and then I wasn't able to stream games like that anymore. I'd like to try and maybe get back to streaming maybe sometime on the weekend. And I really, really need to try and tackle the backlog because the backlog is just
that's on
crazy.
my upcoming bit.
Brand, no, take it with you to the afterlife.
I mean, as far as everything goes, Warzone is always a great time with you guys.
It's been so much fun. What a pleasant surprise that is stumbling into. And I remember saying on the show, I think Cesar and I tried it first, and it was like, Brant, you might want to download this. I think this might be the next thing, and that we spent a lot of time on.
When I can, gaming with my son is always fun. Sharing these different moments with him, or older games with him, and like I talked about the Atari Jaguar, and it was earlier.
What a crazy piece of gaming history to have.
Last week? Was it last week? I think so. I put Ultra Vortec in, which is it's a Mortal Kombat clone.
You talked about that
it's
one, yeah.
Not
I had to look it up.
Super polished.
Looks like shit.
And everything, but it is actually good for a quick pop in, and it's entertaining. It can hold your attention, and you can get some fun out of playing it and trying to hit the combos.
Are there any combo breakers?
There might be, yeah.
That was very good. Combo breakers on Killer Instinct.
Combo breaker.
King combo. Ultra. I played so much Killer Instinct, man.
There's so much going on the health bars, and like
in a good way, not a good way.
Extremely. No, not a good way. There's this crazy deep voiced announcer, and instead of finish him, you get annihilation time kind of stuff. It's a crazy little game. By no means is it, a great game, but it's fun. But he's also at that age where he's more leaning to, oh, well, I'm going to go play games with my friends. So I remember that age, and yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And I hear him in there, and I'm like, see, he's making those memories, that I made with my friends, but also at the same time, I'm like, damn, I miss like pulling him in here and be like, hey, play this game, and watching him play Uncharted or walking him through something else, and just sitting there, backseat gaming and letting him experience something really good. But
I've missed that this year because mine discovered what is that? Roblox. So Roblox is like this. It's like this social platform where they chat with their friends and run from these animals and
do whatever they can.
But they're not playing dad's games anymore. And it's like, man, I have this entire library of stuff we could go through, and
no more Shrek.
No Shrek. No Shrek was played this year.
No Shrek.
And they don't ask about these type games, so maybe that's something that comes back around. But like I said, I have a housemate that's suddenly interested in Contra and enjoying that stuff, and Duck Hunt for the first time. So it's been a good time. Brent, you mentioned backlog. I literally wrote work on backlog, same as last year! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Is it 2 exclamation
It's just
points?
one.
That
Work on
indicates second
capital
year?
W. Work on. I capitalized backlog, or maybe auto corrected, like Balrog from Lord of the Rings. Work on the Balrog. My most look forward to game is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. I think part of that is my youngest child loves Luigi's Mansion games, and this is one that has not been on anything besides a portable, so I think it's exciting to have a home console, even though the Switch is a portable, to have a home console port of that. And I really want this to be a Luigi's Mansion box, so I'll be supporting Luigi's Mansion 2 in hopes we get Luigi's Mansion 1. And on that note, more Metroid Prime games, and maybe Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Maybe we'll bring that into existence. I think PS5 and Xbox are going to really hit their stride. I think it's going to be strong software. I don't think we know everything that's going to happen with them this year. But this is like a full 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th year of this, whatever these console life cycles are these days. I really think they're going to hit their stride software-wise with just great exclusives. I think my Xbox this next year is not going to be a Warzone machine. I think there's going to be some good exclusives on it, like I've been getting from PS5 the past couple of years. I hope we see new Nintendo hardware. Hope that's this year. We're all looking at our Switches like...
Everybody.
You play Super Mario RPG amazingly and that new 2D Mario game, but let's get some parity on some other things and drive the industry forward. And then last but not least, I want to check back in on VR. I'm still a Meta Quest Plus or whatever that subscription thing is, so I get like 2 games a month for $8. I want to fire that up. The same housemate that loves Tetris, it reminded me yesterday, like, wait, I have that Tetris effect for the Quest. Like, that's an awesome version of Tetris. We need to bust that back out so they've never tried VR. It's like, oh, we need to do that. You need to try Tetris. Like, you can turn around, there's whales behind you and shit. And PSVR 2. Like, we've kind of been on the sidelines of that. And the three of us are early adopters. Like, this is not usually in our MO to not have a platform this late into, especially Sony hardware, which Brant will get his new PSP before too long. But, like,
I'm glad you
always, every episode. Like, is there...
I'll get PSVR 2 before I get a
There you go.
PlayStation
Is there
Portal.
compelling software that really pushes us into that? Not
No.
the Portal. I'm talking about the PSVR 2, Brant. You don't think so?
No. And that's the thing is I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. I mean, I saw somebody be blown away by
and I have Gran Turismo. Like, I have the killer app already, but
as far as that, I've also heard several other people go, it's a pretty good experience, but there's no killer apps. Like, it's got a handful of ports. It's got the Horizon game on there, and it's okay. It's, but I wouldn't say it's the killer app. There's, they talked about all these other things that are, on MetaQuest and everything else, but aren't on PSVR. And of course, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Their hugest
their barrier
stumble out of the gate was not making it backwards compatible. And
Sony hasn't given up on Astro.
Fashion.
Like, Astro's on the cover of the Portal. It's right there.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, give us that. So I'm thinking that's in the works at some point. Anything you guys are looking forward to this next year? I kind of sprung this on y'all.
Princess Peach game immediately.
Game.
It's coming soon. That and
yep.
Paper Mario.
1,000 Year Doors this year.
1,000 Year Door is
For
those
me,
are right around the corner.
For me, it'd be Tekken 8 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
Yeah, I need to play 7 Remake. I need to start plugging away at that one on the Portal.
Really excited about Rebirth because I'm excited about putting 100 hours into a Final Fantasy game again.
Not 69 hours.
Oh, that damn full cover of the Game Informer magazine was beautiful.
Did you get a physical
Y'all
one?
haven't seen that.
I was in a store begging for a
No,
physical one today, and they told me it was $2.50. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Oh, I let it go. I
Oh,
know it's
man.
not their thing. Like, I can't take it out on Johnny GameStop in there, but I was fucking
Yeah.
pissed. And they had like 9 different issues that I didn't have, that I've been a subscriber for. Including the Sonic.
Yeah. Oh no, you get the digital copies. Like,
I paid
no, I
extra
don't
for the
want
physical one. That's
digital
what I told him. I was
copies.
like, I paid the.
And you never get it. You never get it.
I was hot to trot.
Yeah.
PSVR 2, I want to see it. Give me a reason, Sony. Give me a reason to buy your stuff. I don't mind buying your stuff. Just give me a good reason.
I'm more inclined to buy getting back in the MetaQuest family so I can play the piano.
I want you to play the piano, Cesar.
I want to play all the JoJo themes on piano. Yes, that's my goal.
Good thing to have. I hear good things about it. It's that piano app is like front and center every time I log into that app.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that it? Are we wrapping up our year? Successful show.
I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you had a great time with us in 2023. Gaming, listening to us talk about games, joining the chat, getting us to Twitch affiliation. We appreciate you being part of our community this past year and next year and going forward. We'll hit episode 300 this year. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
There's rumors of us bringing back a certain Sea of Thieves mustachioed game player for an episode, maybe the 300th episode. Yes, of course. Spoilers. Cesar, you weren't supposed to tell everyone.
It's me. I'm gonna shave
me.
my beard
It's a
again
me,
and go
Brant.
back with the mustache.
As well as another co-founding cast member who loves games in which you have to press A to interact with the stairs.
Stairs.
Which was also one of Gersman's most recent NES games in which he pressed A to stairs. And he loves Dragon Warrior. Spoilers. He thoroughly enjoyed Dragon Warrior.
I love Dragon Warrior as well. I beat it on the
That collection.
Color.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week and this past year, and we hope to see you next week and all throughout the next year. Bye.
Adios.
See ya.